Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to really dig into something. It's a deep dive, a meditation really, on the book of Philippians. We're drawing from a YouTube source that you brought up.
That's right. And it has this really striking title idea. What I do, not what I know, speaks to my level. And that's the core concept we're exploring, isn't it? How faith isn't just, head knowledge, it's lived.
Exactly. It's about the reality of it. So Philippians, Paul's letter. And this church, the Philippians, they were, well, different for Paul, weren't they?
Yeah, very different. He had this genuinely warm, supportive relationship with them. Lots of joy there. Not like, say, the Corinthians, where he often had to lay down the law, so to speak.
Right. Philippians feels much more personal. You get a real sense of affection, a shared journey.
But even in that warm context, Paul still sets out this really crucial mission. It's for them, but also, for all believers, living as witnesses. Living in a way that's worthy of the gospel call.
Worthy of the call. And the source really hammers this home. Their whole way of life should basically advertise their faith.
Sort of, yeah. Reveal it. Make it visible to everyone around them.
Okay, but the source also points out a tension here. What happens when our main goal becomes just, keeping relationships smooth? Avoiding conflict with friends or family or colleagues?
Right. That pressure to compromise, you're in a social situation, maybe even cultural stuff comes up, and there's pressure to just go along with things that maybe don't quite square with what you believe.
Yeah. And if keeping the peace or just getting along overrides that mission of being a witness, of actually embodying the gospel's values, well, the source suggests that's where we can lose our way spiritually.
Absolutely. It's like the purpose gets sidelined. If the church, for instance, just focuses on unity for unity's sake and loses that core mission of standing on God's word, it risks becoming just a social club, doesn't it?
That's a strong point. And then it gets even more layered because the source talks about motives. Even when people are doing seemingly spiritual things. Paul mentions some preaching Christ out of envy, rivalry.
Yes. That's fascinating. It shows that just looking at the action isn't enough. The source brings up examples like Cain and Abel or Saul and David.
Oh, okay.
Both Cain and Saul did religious things outwardly, but their hearts full of envy, rivalry, and look where it led.
Devastating outcomes. So it's not just what you do.
It's why you do it. The intention behind the action is critical.
So bringing those threads together.
Yeah.
The source is saying God sees past the surface, right? He's looking at the whole process, the intention. And fundamentally, what we actually do is a reflection of what's truly in our heart.
Exactly. Like with Cain's offering, it wasn't accepted. Why? Because of the state of his heart. The religious act itself didn't matter without the right heart behind it.
So this brings us right back to that core idea. Our actions, how we react under pressure, where we draw the line, why we do things, that shows our true spiritual level.
Much more than just saying we believe something or knowing the right answers. It's measured by lived reality.
And the source doesn't shy away from the fact that this path, living it out, isn't always easy.
No, definitely not. It's often described as a narrow path, isn't it? It can involve suffering, opposition, precisely because living by gospel values often pushes against the culture around us.
Paul even calls that suffering a privilege, which is quite a statement, being united with Christ in that way.
It is. And holding on to the purpose, that mission of the gospel we talked about, that's what helps navigate the challenges. It helps avoid getting dragged into, those internal conflicts, the relationship breakdowns that stem from bad motives like envy or rivalry that the source warned about.
Right. Lose the purpose and things can unravel. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. The central tension we've unpacked from this source is really that gap, isn't it? The gap between knowing about faith, hearing the words, and then actively, consistently living it, especially when things get difficult.
Yeah. And the source is really clear. God's assessment, his view of our spiritual reality isn't based on our smarts or how good we look. It's based on our process, our intention, and ultimately what we do.
So for everyone listening, think about your own life, your family, your work, your community. What do your actions actually reveal? Your priorities, how you spend your time, your money, how you respond when your values get pushed.
Those are the real indicators, aren't they? They show the reality of your faith.
Which leaves us with a pretty challenging question for reflection straight from the source.
Are you genuinely living according to God's will, his calling? Are your actions revealing the life of his people? Or are you mostly just collecting knowledge, maybe without real change happening? Or worse, are you acting out of hidden motives, like envy or rivalry disguised as zeal?
A tough question. Take an honest look at what you do. Because according to this deep dive, that's the true measure. That's your level.